The tools that Steven was able to give me really helped me in taking me to another level.
For me, connecting to Steven was to continue solidifying my greatness.
He has an amazing ability to bring the right tools in at the right time, for the right situation, for the right people.
To me, Steven Griffith is extraordinary person, wise, loving, extremely knowledge.
The result is this unique combination of a big, tough, street-smart person, combined with a real understanding of the human condition.
He will help you find out the best version of you. Steven Griffith is the man I want in my corner.
Yeah, I grew up in Chicago. My mom raised me and my brother. You know, the early days were a little tough. Housing support, food stamps. It was challenging. I mean, we never went without food. We weren't homeless, but it was tough because my mom had to sacrifice a lot. There was two things that were going on. Number one, back at that time, there wasn't a lot of divorced families. I didn't know anybody else that had a single mother, and I had a lot of shame around, you know, not having a father. Really, there was that sense of just not being good enough. But it wasn't until I turned 12 or 13 when I was introduced to football. I saw that sports potentially would be a way where I could help the economic condition for myself and my family. And that's when my passion for sports, and that was like, I want to be a professional athlete. So I went to a junior college. And then the sixth game of the season, I tore my hamstring. It was like a gunshot in my head. And I remember laying on the field just thinking to myself, my whole life's over. Rehabbed for 6 weeks, and then eventually did get a Division I scholarship. First day of spring practice, I ran a post route and tore my hamstring again. And I did end up leaving that university. After that, I got another scholarship to an NAIA school, tore my other hamstring. And once again, laying on the hot asphalt track, I'm just like, I'm done with this.
I would consider my relationship with Steven like we're friends. It's like someone I always depend on and bring me back to a solid foundation of who I am and what a friend should be.
So boxing was something that I grew up watching. I remember the Ali Frazier, the Foreman, the Muhammad Ali fights, and it was like these guys were bigger than life. And I had a boxing heavy bag in the basement of the apartment. They let us hang it up, and I would go down there. And my mom said, hey, you can do that, but you're not boxing until you turn 18. So when I turned 18, I did what I wanted. I went down to the local boxing gym. God was shining on me that day because that was the day I met Tom Delaney. Guy from Ireland, kind of a beer belly, had one of those white tank tops on. And I'll never forget, because Tom had this most interesting scent when I met him. It was a combination of sweat and Old Spice cologne. The biggest thing about Tom is he could see my potential. And he was compassionate with me and also firm. So I win my first amateur fight, and then Tom said, hey, there's a Golden Gloves tournament coming. So I have my first fight, knocked the guy out in the first round. I have another fight, win a decision, that put me into the finals. On the other side was a guy named Oliver McCall. I was afraid of losing. Because for me, losing back then was an identity issue. And I remember not knowing how to manage my nerves and really having no tools to manage that. Round starts, and it was the first time where I felt like, oh, this is a different level of skill. And starting to get hit, the ref stepped in, stopped the fight. And I was devastated. In my head, I felt like a loser. All I felt was the shame and feeling not good enough. So, you know, I went back, continued to train, ended up winning the Illinois State Heavyweight Championship the next year. But all the injuries, you know, from the hamstring and back stuff I had eventually stopped my boxing. And I realized that I was climbing up that ladder of success and realizing the ladder was on the wrong wall. And that my life would take a different direction.
So I was pretty much lost when I first met him. I gained from Steven's coaching so much. I'm a completely different person. I think it's an amazing gift I received.
So I moved to Los Angeles after college. I had already started being a personal trainer, and we opened one of the first sports-specific training centers in Los Angeles. And that really grew, working with the Dodgers, the Lakers, the athletes from juniors all the way to the Olympics, pretty much in every sport for multiple years. I got introduced to a guy, worked in this field called NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. It was a kind of a psychology blend. Started learning sports psychology, and then I started implementing that in the gym with my athletes and executives. Still work with the athletes on their mindset, helping their business, personal development, and performance. That feeling of less than was starting to leave.
I had one of the biggest moments in my boxing career, and it didn't go the way I needed it to go. And my confidence kind of took a beating. I needed another champion in my corner, so I hooked up with Steven.
My clients are varied I've had Fortune 500 clients, executives, entrepreneurs, CEOs, to junior athletes, high school and college athletes, professional athletes. I've even worked with the US military. It all comes down to the same philosophy. They're here and they want to get here. They're in what we call a performance gap. And so my job as a coach is to align their values, have them get connected to what I call their why, their purpose.
If you buy in and you do it full-heartedly, you can really get to a place that's special and that's true to you. And then that unlocks a whole new level to what you're doing when you know your why.
So in my process of my coaching, what's very different is I'm looking at the cause, the deep cause that's creating the blockage, the stalling. And once we shift that belief system, align values, get a client connected to the purpose, now it's wide open. So a lot of the work that I'm doing with executives, entrepreneurs, athletes is getting them to understand how to use their time more effectively, getting them present with their family, present when they're at the ball game or with their executives, being there now. We start looking at, well, where have I been putting my time? So mindfulness, or in my world, timefulness, is being present, intentional, and aware of your time. It's really looking at time as an ally. That's the backdrop for all our decision making. Relevant means this, that you are connecting to your gifts and talents that meet the need of the time. A lot of people are focusing on what they're doing and not focusing on who they're being. When someone comes to me and they want to get to the next level, I ask them, who do you need to be to have that? Let's work on the process of that beingness that allows you to then do that.
I was just beyond myself. I didn't have enough time. My partners and I weren't really getting along. And I asked if this is something that Steven could help with. He was able to navigate and basically lead us in a great direction.
When you've worked with me, you'll have multiple tools to deal with any situation that shows up. Ultimately, my job for over 30 years and over 25,000 hours of coaching is giving them life skills, from self-compassion to mindfulness to sports psychology to time management and performance, and to give them the tools to regulate their emotions, to think in a rational, optimistic, and confident way. And I tell everyone this simple quote: we always do it ourselves, but we never do it alone. It's been said about me at times, he sees things that other people don't see, and he's willing to say things that other people aren't going to say.
What makes Steven different in his approach is his ability to listen, but as well as get you back on track when you need to hear the hard truth.
And I believe as coaches, we need to be courageous. and compassionate to help people see what they can't see. I'm that person to help somebody see that blind spot.
Stephen has helped me discover not only what I want, but what I want to be.
He'll make you a better person. He'll make you a more balanced person. Stephen Griffin can actually take you to that next level.
The A game is this: bringing your best to be your best.